Welcome back, everyone, finally, to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron, and I'm
And
alive.
question mark? Would you like to explain to the...
Would you like to explain yourself, young man? Would you like to explain why you're so late to class?
would you like to explain why we've had an additional hiatus? I like how a couple months ago we were just like, yeah, we're gonna take like basically a one episode break. So instead of like an episode every 2 weeks, it's gonna be a month because I just wanted to have absolutely nothing to do because I am lazy. And the exact same thing happened 2 months later, but because Ron was almost dying.
Yeah, it was bad. Basically, my kids went back to school. Well, started school, really. Technically, they were in pre-K before, which doesn't count as school. So they started school on a Thursday, as we do here. And they went to school for 2 days, and then we all got COVID after hiding from it for 2 years.
Why am I just hearing the Curb Your Enthusiasm? Yeah, that fucking sucks. That just like really fucking sucks. And what really pissed me off, like once he told me this happened, is because you know what happened. A kid got sick. The kid told his parents he didn't feel good, he or she, and you want to know what happened? Parent strapped him up, sent him to school anyway.
Yeah,
What
probably.
happened? You guys probably were not the only family to get it because one idiotic parent didn't take their kid's sickness serious. That's all it takes. This is why, you know, everyone always talks about like, oh, they wouldn't hide the zombie bite in the zombie apocalypse. And then if anything from the past 3 years has showed us, you're goddamn right they would.
If we've ever learned anything from a leper colony, then yes, they would definitely hide the zombie bite.
Definitely hide the fucking zombie bite.
Yeah, what's funny
man.
is, so you know the CDC guidelines, they're more like guidelines. 5 days isolation, 5 days mask wearing, and then boom, you're good. We did that, and you know because you have a certain number of occurrences at school, right? Like they are now officially in school; they cannot miss. So once we get past the guidelines, you know, after 5 days, they can go back as long as they're wearing a mask. Fortunately, with the way the weekends fell and stuff, they only had to go to school in a mask like 2 days. And the following week, my son's teacher was out sick.
Oh my god.
So I'm pretty sure my son gave COVID to his teacher.
So they don't have anything built in to like any kind of forgiveness for if the occurrences happen because of COVID. They don't have anything in place.
It's funny. Everything is written extremely vague for COVID.
Oh, fuck.
No, it's written extremely vague for COVID because they cannot legally do anything one way or the other. So if I wanted to press and like say stay home or whatever, they can't tell me no. Also, our school districts in this part of Oklahoma and everything are actually fairly decent about trying to control COVID until Stit for Brains made it illegal to enforce mask policies and shit.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, by the way, Mr. Stit.
Yeah. So, yeah. It... everything is now written very vague, and if I really wanted to put up a hard fight or whatever, like they can't stop me.
Gotcha.
The thing is, the reason it's occurrences and not days missed is it all counts as one occurrence. All the days that they're out for COVID is just
everybody
one
gets
occurrence.
one.
Yeah. That counts as one occurrence. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, if you have the flu or you know, you've got an injury or whatever, and you miss 5 days, that is one occurrence because it was all from that one illness or injury. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, everything's written extremely vague, so it goes one way or the other. But no, it's been fun. I even got to play with the fuck is it called? I had it. I just want to call it Placidosax all the time. Paxlovid.
Mucinex. Oh.
No, Mucinex has been my friend for sure. It's the only reason I can talk right now, probably. Paxlovid, I believe, is the antiviral medication for COVID. And
all things should just be called plagiarisax instead. It's the most fun word to say that has ever been invented.
No,
thank you, Elden Ring. Thank you, FromSoft.
the best nickname for that boss is Flaccid Sex. Is the best one I've heard.
I like. I saw. I think it was Lobo's. Lobo's stream, but someone had their fucking Twitch channel called Placiduous Saxophone, and I was like, yes, you sir are cool in my book.
But yeah, I chickened out. The one time being fat has ever been an advantage, Jeff, is that it gives me a pre-existing condition and makes me puts me in the higher tier. I'm at higher risk for the damage COVID can do to my heart and shit, because I'm already overworking it. So it's always, every time like it was time to like go get a vaccination or a booster shot or something, I was always in the higher tier. So I always got mine earlier than the rest of my family. It was always me and the old folks.
Yeah, I think you were the first person I know to have actually gotten like the first batches of vaccines back when they were coming out.
It was me and the 65 and ups there to get our shots because I have a pre-existing condition just like they do with their age. We're all in a higher risk bracket. And if you're in a higher risk bracket, then you can get the antiviral medication. And I noped out and I was like, I'm not doing this. So I called my doctor, who is like 30 minutes away from where I live, and was like, first off, if he needs to see me for this, I can't drive. So all bets are off. I was like, second off, I was like, I have COVID and I feel like I am fucking dying. And I know that I'm in the higher risk bracket. Is there any way he can just call me in the antiviral medication? And the lady was like, I don't think you'll have a problem with that. And then I got an email from Walgreens a couple hours later saying it was ready. And I went and got it. And it is fucking weird. It's 2 different chemicals, 2 pills of one chemical, 1 pill of another. And they come in those foil sheets with 6 pills. The gold half is the morning dose, and the silver half is the evening dose. And you just pop out all 3 in the gold half of a morning and all 3 in the silver half at night. And you take those 3 and you do that for 5 days. So
if you do it for 6 days, do you get radioactive spider powers? Yes or no?
I think you just end up face down on the floor dead. No.
So you're saying no? That's a missed opportunity.
You're saying there's a chance. That's what I thought you were gonna say. But yeah. So the thing that makes that weird though is pretty much everyone that takes Paxlovid or Paxlovid or whatever it's called.
Placiduous, get it right, sir.
The Placiduous.
We've been over this.
Anyone who takes Placiduous, anyone who has flaccid sex, you get rebound COVID. So you start out with COVID, you take the medication, and then as soon as the medication's out of your system, you get COVID again, whether you've been exposed to anyone or not, because it's still in your body from the original infection. But at this point, it's so beat down by your immune system and its inability to replicate inside your body that it's just more annoying than anything. It just goes away after a few days.
At that point, it's basically just kind of like a really bad cold instead of
a really, really bad flu. It's just an aggravating cold. And a few days after that, I was good. The kids never really slowed down, and my wife, as always, got hit really hard by it. Anytime we get sick, it seems like she gets hit the hardest. And she was hit pretty hard by it.
That's usually how I am. I don't get sick like super, super often, but usually when I do get sick, I'm fucking dying.
We were like, watch the kids have COVID because they were clearly coming down with something. And
you say it jokingly, and then like, they do the test. Like, oh shit.
Chris started being like, I'm pretty sure they have COVID. And then I was like, the odds after 2 days. And she's like, I'm pretty sure they have COVID. And they did not enjoy being tested with the home tests. But
I hate the home test too. I don't blame him, dude.
We did the home test. And you know how they say, like, wait 15 minutes? That second line appeared fucking instantly.
Oof.
And after 15
Yikes.
minutes, it was still there, Jeff. And Chris and I tested negative every time, but we knew we were coming down with something because, I mean, I know what my body feels like when I'm getting sick. And if 2 people in my household have COVID, the odds are pretty high of what I have. I know what I have. And I kept coming up negative, and so did Chris. And I was like, well, maybe it's got something to do with the at-home test, because like you were pointing out, they're not very accurate with the current variants.
We're like 6 variants later using tests that were designed for the original thing from 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Shocker, they're not very accurate, and it doesn't seem to be like a big point of contention that we're
not testing, basically.
We're not making like a better effort at update. I'm glad they're now updating the boosters, like the new booster that's supposed to be better against the Omicron subvariants has now been passed and approved and everything, but I think it's very disconcerting that a lot of people are doing the right thing and are testing, but because the tests just are completely, irrelevant now, basically, that it's a lot of people are testing, but wasting their time and their money on these tests. Once you run out of the free ones we got, they're not cheap, and for them to basically be worthless is very, very unfortunate.
Yeah. So we went to Walgreens. We did that test. And as it's covered by insurance, didn't cost us anything. And came back negative. The PCR test or whatever that Walgreens does? It looks for a completely different marker and everything. Completely negative. So we're like, what if we did the one thing every medical professional tells you not to do and swab our own throat with this damn thing? So we popped open a couple more tests and jammed it into our throat instead. And we came up positive instantly, just like the kids did.
Why did I just get a mental image of Ron with his whole family tied to chairs as he's as he has a flamethrower and his torch in the fucking like thing style?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I got the petri dish, and I've got the little wire, and I'm just jamming it.
You got the McCready sombrero that I love and adore.
All right, snort into this, and then I'm gonna touch it with the electrical filament. Yeah, so it was.
Do your kids make visible breath in Antarctica right now? Yes or no? Because we need to test this immediately.
God damn it! It's one of my favorite details. There was another movie.
No, there's only been one movie.
No, there was another.
There's only been one in the history of mankind. It's everybody gets one. That's all you got. There was never another.
No, I was reading about it recently. Someone was in a movie where they didn't want to have to go through the trouble of removing their breath digitally, and they wanted them to like cram ice in their mouth for a while or something.
Jesus.
What was it? They eventually ended up not doing that and ended up removing it digitally anyway. I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I have no clue what this is.
I was just reading about it like last week. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like, holy hell.
This is your brain on plagiarisex.
Yeah. Dude. Okay. Long COVID. So far, my symptoms or my brain don't fucking work.
I've heard that's a problem.
Thanks.
Like on occasion, you might need your brain.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon.
I have, like, I will get a thought in my head, and then it just goes away. Mm-hmm. Or I'm trying to remember, like, the procedure to do a thing, and maybe I can remember the steps, but not what order they go in. Or I can remember parts of the steps and not other parts.
And what's unfortunate is you already had bad memory retention before you got
again. Thank you.
Coincidentally, it was in regards to this movie that we're eventually going to be covering maybe today. When me and Bobby were talking about Prey with you multiple times in multiple conversations about how Hulu was getting the Predator prequel called Prey. and we had a whole conversation about how the director was the guy from 10 Cloverfield Lane, and we had just like 2 or 3 conversations about it. And then when it dropped, you were like, "I wish you hadn't have told me." And it was like a whole new conversation we were having again. It was just like, "Oh, Ron, you poor soul." It's like, no, we told you.
What's funny is I didn't realize it was the guy from 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're saying we talked about that too? I didn't know that part.
Yep.
Yeah, I recognized the name when I saw his name, but I didn't know where I knew it from, and I hadn't looked it up yet until tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's I'm really hoping it doesn't last. My daughter, when she got COVID, her head was locked up. She was on steroids from the doctor to unlock the muscles in her neck. Same way my wife was in January.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that one of the things COVID does is lock your shit up like that? So Christina locked up again. And my daughter, who had just got all of that fixed, locked up again.
That fucking sucks.
My son was fine, and my neck and shoulder tried to lock up. And I was like, nope. And I used my jacuzzi tub often, and I used the heating pad often, and I did everything I know to pop and adjust myself using the exercise ball or workout equipment that I have upstairs. And I never actually locked up, but everything hurt to move for a while, and the muscles were real fucking tense.
Yeah, but I can totally get on board with the heating pad. That has saved my, because I have neck problems every now and then too, and man, sometimes just I would come home from like just being stuck at work without it, come home and just like, oh thank Christ, I can just lay against this heating pad for like an hour.
Before we get started, the last thing I was going to say is since you're talking about the heating pad, you might check out next time you're over the one Christina has. I don't know. Is it usually your neck that you're looking, or your shoulders that you're looking to warm up?
It's like, yeah, my neck will lock up sometimes because I think it's gotten a little bit better over time because I eventually got like a pillow that wasn't a piece of shit. That's like the number one thing I recommend people, is that a lot of times it can be related to something as simple as I had also switched out my mattress, which helped back problems. Shocker. Yeah, but yeah, it can sometimes be as simple as fucking switching out your pillow, and it can help a lot.
The one that the heating pad Christina has, I don't like it, but she swears by it. It looks like the Green Ranger's golden shield. Like, you put it on, it just drapes itself over your shoulders, and it's got a magnet that clasps in the front, and it's got a collar that you bend around your neck. It's got a flexible thing inside that bends. You bend it around your neck, and the thing is weighted. It's got like that sandy stuff in it, like a paperweight has. So when you put it down, it stays against the muscles in your shoulder, and it stays kind of against your chest and back. And you plug it in, and it's got 4 heat settings, and you just wear it. It's not one that you got to figure out how to get it in the fucking right position and lock up the other side of your neck trying to fucking hold it.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care for it, but it's not usually my neck that's the problem. It's usually in the middle of my upper back between my shoulder blades. So, but for her, it's her neck and shoulders, and she really likes it.
Well, there you go. I'll check that out.
I'll send it to you. I'll look it up, and I'll send it to you so you can see it.
Yeah, it sounds genuinely cool and something I might potentially like.
The first time we started using it on my daughter, when she needed it, when she was locking up, I was like, this is just like all the episodes of the Green Ranger transferred his shield to Jason or Zach. Like, when he put his hand on their chest and his shield just moved.
I'm glad that your memory has retained all of Power Rangers lore.
Oh, it's also retained Predator lore.
There you go. You're going to need it for today, bro. But just real quickly, let's see. What did I do during this month-long hiatus? I watched all of Netflix Resident Evil, and that was almost as bad as having a deadly virus for 2 weeks. I can tell you that much. I just had to say, holy fuck, that show sucks.
I don't think I know enough about Resident Evil to even try it.
Oh, man.
Everything I know about Resident Evil came from the Mila Jovovich movies.
You know what's fucked up is like the show is bad to everyone who likes Resident Evil, and the show is bad to everyone who has no idea what Resident Evil is, because it's just garbage. It's so bad. And it's really unfortunate because like, the only reason I watched
it's really nice that you watched all of it.
So a funny story. I got like 3 episodes into it, right? It was a total of 8 episodes, right? So I was like 3 or 4 episodes into it, basically halfway done when Netflix announced they had canceled it. And I was like, my fucking OCD completionist brain won't let me just walk away, Rod. So I sit down and spend 4 fucking hours watching the show get even worse than it already was.
It's a living.
The only
wait, I don't do this for a living. What am I doing?
It was so bad.
Oh god.
It was brutal. It was one of those things too where like the characters, like, you ever watch a show or a movie where the writing is so bad that they inadvertently create the most unlikable protagonist in the history of protagonists? Have you ever seen like where the protagonist is such an idiot and does so many dumb things that you facepalm at their decision making instead of like, rooting for them like you're supposed to, like writing 101?
That is my experience with most anime, actually. Usually my favorite character is the side character.
Yeah, that's true of a lot of animes too. Usually in animes, only the side characters actually get character arcs as well.
Right.
Usually the protagonist, just like Goku has been the same fucking character for 40 years. But I love him, I love him. But yeah,
that's the main thing. Since I've been sick, I've been mowing through Dragon Ball Super.
Super's really good.
And it was Fortnite of all fucking things that got me into it, and of all fucking things, I got into Fortnite. Like, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what this long COVID shit is, but I don't know if I like it or not.
I really think it's funny how like Fortnite had a resurgence when they got rid of the mechanic that made it Fortnite.
Right?
That is a very like ingenious that they actually listen to people, because one thing like Yumi, our friend Soapy, like a lot of people that are into games like that were like, I would like to play this game if they got rid of being able to build the fucking Taj Mahal in a nanosecond with your fucking
call me crazy, but my first reaction when I'm being shot at is not to build a fucking house. Like, my reaction is to turn around and say, where'd that come from, and then die and start over.
If when you watch video like replays of really like people that really know what they're doing in Fortnite proper,
all the 5-year-olds.
Yeah, when you have the finger dexterity to actually, like build the White House in a 1-to-1 replica in 10 seconds.
Finger dexterity. Be still, every woman's heart.
Yeah, and then I'm watching this building. It doesn't even look like it just looks like flashing lights, and I'm like, am I having an aneurysm? Are they having an aneurysm? Are we all having one? I don't know.
Look,
but
all I know is that I am Indiana Jones riding around on the Nimbus, firing Kamehamehas, while fucking, I don't know, fucking Fonzie skiing behind a shark that is crossing land. Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening, but it's fun.
So it's like Ready Player One if it wasn't garbage. Is that what you're saying?
You know what? There's so Not That Will Smith and Sam with a Plan both play Fortnite. And usually in those chat rooms on Twitch, what comes up is, we're all old and don't know how to describe Fortnite to people that don't know what Fortnite is. And I think Ready Player One is probably the most apt description.
At this point, they have fucking everything. Like, I played it. There's like, it was before the Dragon Ball stuff happened, but I saw like 3 or 4 different anime characters running around. I got killed by Darth Vader, and I was like, am I having a stroke? I don't know what's going on.
I Kamehameha Darth Vader to death. It was amazing.
You won the internet. Yeah, you did.
So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I don't like the shooting mechanics of it as much as I like PUBG. I feel like the shooting mechanics are a little bit wonky when you're actually using like the regular guns instead of the fucking Kamehameha waves and shit.
I don't notice it. But I'm also not using keyboard and mouse. Even on PC, I use controller because I'm just much more accurate.
It always feels very... If everything can feel potentially really floaty on mouse and keyboard, if you're used to games where it's like like Apex Legends, like how like Apex Legends, you can tell how like the keyboard and mouse mechanics feel like fucking like laser precise.
I wonder if that has to do with the fact that it's on so many different platforms.
Yeah,
and it's crossplay. So the people you're fighting, if they're not bots, they could be on Android, they could be on a Switch, they could be on a PlayStation, they could be on a PC.
And its mechanics are designed to build a treehouse before shooting somebody, so it's not the focal point. And it was never meant to be a multiplayer game. It was meant to be co-op horde mode.
Yes, it was.
Fortnite is fucking bonkers. Like just the tracking, the development.
I feel like we're like 5
years
years away from some like documentary on Netflix about Fortnite and the journey it's taken.
And I hope there's a section where PUBG tried to sue them instead of making their game not ass.
Which is a real thing that happened.
Yes. Ron, would you like to talk about Prey?
Sure.
I feel like, halfway through the episode, maybe we should talk about the movie. But this has been an enlightening array of discussion topics. This reminds me of like our old podcast we did before we had like a singular objective, and it was just either news or just shooting the shit. It was basically like a little retro callback, which I guess makes sense. Like you got to knock the rust off of your month-long hiatus, so why not recreate a 7-year-old dead podcast? That sounds like a good use of your time. But yeah, let's get into it. So we are covering Prey this week. This was like a selection of mine. Actually picked it just based off basically the buzz alone, and the director, because I love the director, everything I've seen of his. Me and Ron had not seen the film when I picked this, which is always like a roll the dice,
and that was an SPR first, right?
Yeah, because we had talked a little bit about how obviously we had a couple of instances during the friends and family selections of stuff being paid for. We said we hadn't picked because we weren't in control, but this was one that you and I had picked that we had not seen yet, either one of us. So it was fun. I also like doing that to give me a direct excuse to watch something immediately instead of a lot of the time I will I have a terrible habit of saying I'll get to it, and then 3 years later I've still not seen the thing, and then it just never happens. So I like giving myself a reason to go do something. I feel like
this one's not really in danger of doing that because you and I both love The Predator so much.
True, but I could see myself using the podcast as an excuse to like knock stuff off my fucking Netflix purgatory watch list that I'm never gonna get around to otherwise.
In your defense, too, you're also a lot busier than I am.
I mean, I did watch 8 hours of Netflix Resident Evil, so I don't know if that actually applies, but I appreciate it.
That, kids, is called a callback in the industry.
Oh man, 8 hours of my life never getting back.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to know what is fucking 2 hours of your life that is fucking awesome and well worth your time is Prey. Because Prey, spoiler alert, fucking rules, dude. And I love this movie.
Yeah, Prey is fucking awesome.
We're gonna do full spoilers, but per usual, we're gonna do the rundown. The director I had mentioned, Dan Trachtenberg.
Is it Trachtenberg or Trottenberg? I couldn't tell.
Trachtenberg, I believe.
Trachtenberg, okay.
So the man's directed 2 feature-length films, Ron. And those 2 films are 10 Cloverfield Lane and fucking Prey.
Both amazing films.
Like your directorial debut being 10 Cloverfield Lane.
The only Cloverfield spinoff that hasn't sucked.
I like 10 Cloverfield Lane more than Cloverfield, and I love Cloverfield.
Yeah, same.
I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is a fucking just masterpiece of not only acting, because oh my god, John Goodman is fucking amazing.
Well, I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead helps.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead's fucking amazing.
Ramona Flowers.
I absolutely love that movie, and we have to do Cloverfield franchise coverage as soon as possible because holy shit, I have to talk about that. But man, like your debut being that movie, it's so tense and it's so good, and it like both works as a Cloverfield movie, but also I believe it was originally like retrofitted to be a Cloverfield movie, right? Wasn't it like an original concept that they then kind of merged into being part of the franchise?
That's what that whole franchise has become. That was the idea. They take kind of like workshop type ideas and then retrofit them to fit into Cloverfield. That's what Cloverfield Paradox was. That's what 10 Cloverfield Lane is, and that's whatever the next one is supposed to be also.
Yeah, and man, just like the way that Prey works as like both like a love letter to the original movie, but also as I think Prey might be the best reboot. Because like when you think about it, like they're basically if you like read interviews right now with Trachtenberg and some of the producers, like Prey, I think it was the biggest hit like Hulu's ever had.
Oh yeah, easily.
By like a mile. So they're already talking sequels. Like they're not really they're kind of playing it close to the vest as far as whether your sequels are going to continue this time period with this character or like this concept, as far as, you know, just taking a Predator, dropping it into like a different point in history, and just, you know, just like I will watch whatever sequel they do, by the way, because this movie's fucking amazing. But I think it's interesting that like this like works as like a complete, like it's almost like a soft reboot of the franchise, that I think really nails what I like the most about the Predator, and it's that I feel like it got lost over time, because I feel like after the first movie, the Predator always retained the cool factor, just because the Predator is a fucking amazing character concept and amazing design.
Yes,
and he was always an awesome character, you know, like an AVP and some of the sequels and stuff, but he kind of lost the ability as a character concept to be scary, I think.
Yes.
In the vast majority. Yeah.
It also became not the point for the Predator to be scary anymore.
And it's so interesting too, because like when you look back at the first movie, like that was the point of why they went after, you know, not only having Arnold, but, you know, you have like Jesse the Body Ventura and like all of those. Like the point was, oh, these like 80s action stars are completely out of, you know, like they're completely out of their element and they have no chance. That was like the whole point. It was supposed to be this just absolute fucking force of nature murder machine that is terrifying, because you know, these guys that should be able to take out any problem are just being mercilessly hunted down one by one and basically stand no chance until the very end.
Well, the thing that was crazy,
I think this really recaptures that.
Yeah, the thing that was crazy about the first film is the first 20-30 minutes of that movie is mimicking every 80s action film you've ever seen, with the big G.I. Joe muscle-bound dudes that are invincible, just going in and fucking everyone up. And then this
literally
thing
opening
shows
the movie with, was it Long Tall Sally?
Yes.
Playing as they're on the minigun in the chopper. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and then this thing just comes in and starts fucking them up. And you have the famous line from the movie of, "I'm scared," right?
Yeah.
From these 80s action heroes, one of the biggest badasses of them all just goes, "I'm scared." And they all just kind of look at each other like, "Oh shit, man, Billy's scared." Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. A movie takes such a turn, and this one kind of recaptures that in a different way. It's funny, when we started recording, I was about halfway through rewatching it, as I didn't get to rewatch it today like I wanted to, what with all the Dragon Ball Super I've been watching instead.
You gotta get your Beerus in, man. You gotta get your fucking Beerus in, dude.
Dude, fucking Beerus is amazing.
Beerus is one of the greatest fictional...
Yeah.
Beerus is one of the greatest additions to fiction of all time.
Is this one of the best anime characters, period, I think.
Yeah, so good.
But yeah, so I was about halfway through the movie rewatching it, and when the first time I watched this movie, technically I've still only watched it once, I'm halfway through the second one. The first time I watched this movie, though, I remember feeling like, I get it, I understand, let's get to the fucking Predator. Like, it just felt like it was taking forever to get there. Rewatching it, it's halfway through the movie when you get to the bear fight. And
that fucking bear fight, dude.
It felt like 10 minutes this time. So I'm going to go with my first time was just my anticipation of a new Predator movie, wanting to see the thing.
Yeah.
Whereas my second run through, I was able to actually look at it with like give the movie a real chance, you know?
Yeah, like let it breathe instead of like.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I loved this movie the first time I watched it, but it felt like I was taking 10 years to get to the part I wanted to see. I was like, I get it. I see all the parallels, right? I get why it's called Prey. I see all the parallels between her and the Predator. I understand the setup. I get what we're doing. Show me the thing. And then they just weren't showing me the thing. But on the second viewing so far, I haven't felt that way at all. It's been a real joy to go back through it a second time.
Yeah, I have only seen it the one time. I also intended to watch it through a second time, but Resident Evil gotta get watched, and I only got so many times. I only got so much time in a day. But I'm also really
gotta rewatch Resident Evil first.
I know, bro.
Just to make sure I give it a fair chance.
How am I supposed to enjoy my TV if I'm not watching a necessary teenage melodrama on my Resident Evil, man?
One of the greatest things about getting old is I have stopped doing that. If I'm not enjoying something, I've had no shame about just turning shit off anymore.
I can do that with books. Like, if I'm not enjoying a book, I can just drop it and walk away. But for whatever fucking reason, like a TV show.
But what if it gets better?
If it's well, it's not even that. I had zero hope for that fucking piece of shit getting any better. But my brain will not let me walk away if I have gotten that far, and it is a finite thing. Like, I had 4 episodes left. I watched like half of it, and I knew that shit was done because it was canceled. It's like, God damn it, I'm pot committed to this shit. Let's get it over with. But yeah, I'm really excited to watch this again because while I didn't really have that kind of feeling of the movie meandering at the beginning, because to me it was just them kind of like slowly like ratcheting up the tension, like, a little bit like, do you remember 10 Cloverfield Lane? I think was the same way.
Yeah.
Like he seems to me to be really influenced in a way by John Carpenter, because that's actually a thing that's actually like a style and a flow to his movies that remind me a lot of stuff like The Thing and In the Mouth of Madness, where you're dropped into the movie and it's not really like a cold open. Usually it's not really boring. It's just they're dropping you into the concept and then letting it breathe instead of showing you something crazy instantly, like a lot of movies do, to kind of like sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's just kind of like they're trying too hard to hook you. It shows like confidence to me. It shows like a lot of confidence, which I like how they're letting the setup happen, and it feels more like methodical than it meandering to me.
Right.
But I totally get, especially with how much hype this movie's been getting. I am not online as far as like reading a lot of reviews, watching a lot of reviews on YouTube. I typically will stay away from even looking as far as like a Rotten Tomatoes score. I try to like stay as in the dark on stuff I'm interested in as possible to keep as much unspoiled as humanly possible. Even something being hyped up, I don't want to know, but I couldn't help but hear just kind of like the rumblings that this movie was fucking good, and it did get me excited for it. So I totally get your mindset going into it.
I think the more I think about it, the more I think like I'm probably part of the issue with the state of the Predator franchise, right? Because that's what the movies do. Like, one of the first things you fucking see in the newer Predator movies is the fucking Predator doing something. And this movie kind of goes back to the original, where just like the original, it takes its time, like you said, to ratchet it up, to build the atmosphere, to get to know the characters. So it fucking matters to you when they start dying.
Exactly. Yeah. That is a huge difference. This movie actually has a protagonist.
Yes.
The Predator films over the past, I don't know, like 25 years have occasionally tried, but they have never been a character you gave two shits about.
Right.
Like not since the first Predator movie have I given a shit about any of the main characters.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I loved this movie the first time I watched it. I had no problems with it. But at the same time, I was sitting there fidgeting in my chair like, show me one of my favorite movie monsters of all time. God damn it.
God, I love the Predator.
I love the
Predator's so fucking awesome.
As much as I love Alien and Aliens, I think the Predator is more terrifying personally than a xenomorph is, because the way they always beat a xenomorph is taking advantage of the fact that it's basically a wild animal, and you can trap it and trick it like you can a wild animal, and it falls for shit like a wild animal.
The Predator does that to you.
The Predator is here for fun. He's not here for food. He's not here on some animalistic instinct. This is recreation. This is Predator on vacation.
Yeah.
This is Predator dropping into Africa and big game hunting.
And they take it personal because there's like, isn't that, I think it's explored more in the comics and like all the thousands of external predator material, but isn't it typically like you almost have to kind of earn your stripes as a predator? Don't they have to have like, basically you have to go, they almost have almost like, reminds me of the way the calls work in Game of Thrones, you know, where they had kind of like this like really competitive system.
The Agogi is what I think of.
Yeah, that type of thing. Because it's not only sometimes them like doing it for fun, they're also trying to like establish themselves as a badass, which is cool too. Well, like just like their whole like kind of like culture that they show sometimes, but not really as interesting.
Not to get too far ahead of where we're going to be going with this later, like I mentioned, the parallels between our main character and the predator. That's exactly what she's doing. And that's it, you know, and it's very, very possible with what little we know of their culture that's exactly what the predator is doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We had talked about Dan Trachtenberg. Let me round out the rest of the crew and cast, and then we can kind of jump back into certain plot elements and scenes and stuff. So we mentioned the director is Dan Trachtenberg. People will know from 10 Cloverfield Lane. He also helped write the story along with Patrick Aisen, or Aisen. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. He has mostly written a little bit similar kind of background. I can kind of see why he's friends with Trachtenberg, because he has a similar background to where Trachtenberg kind of like got his like start in not just shorts, but also doing kind of like one-off appearances directing TV shows, like how Trachtenberg had directed like an episode of Black Mirror and had directed a couple of like TV show one-offs over the last few years of somewhat notable stuff. Patrick Aisen has also written kind of one-off episodes of like Kingdom, Wayward Pines, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Treadstone, just kind of jumped around like that, and then wrote this with him. Our cast and crew. The first couple minutes of the movie, I was like, I know I have seen this main lady in something. Her name is Amber Midthunder, and what I knew her from was actually from Legion. She is one of the Louder Milks. And I know you didn't watch as much of Legion. I think you just watched like the first season, but do you remember her in Legion?
Vaguely, yes. She was the cool one.
She's a badass. In Legion, she is.
She was Legion's Summer Glau, right?
Basically. So she played one of the Louder Milks, which was a mutant whose ability was they were essentially two people inside one body. So when she was in control of Carrie Loudermilk, she was, you know, like you said, like River, just a complete, you know, murder machine badass, could take out, you know, an entire room of dudes in just seconds. And her other half was the nerdy scientist guy. So they were a pretty interesting character, and she was always cool. And I think she's really good in this movie, and she has to carry a lot of like the intensity of it because, like you said, they focus, and rightly so, for the first, I'd say, like half of the movie, really following her character.
It's literally the first half of the movie. I was just watching it before we started recording.
Yeah,
it's literally the first half of the movie. I just got to the part where the possums happen.
Her character name is Naru. She's the protagonist, and she is trying to establish herself. This is what is the Comanche Nation set 300 years ago. I forget if they say exactly where they are, but they're in kind of like, I want to say they're near the border of Canada, because they end up running into a bunch of fur traders, and fur trading was really prevalent in like southern Canada, northern.
Not only that, they're speaking French as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where they are. They might confirm it, but like I said, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen it.
The traders, not the Comanche. The traders are speaking French. The trappers.
It's a very bizarre turn.
It was really weird when the main chick brought out a baguette and broke it over the predator's head. It was really strange.
Oh, man. I'm just imagining a baguette with like the laser targeting coming out of it now.
Hey, it'll be in Fortnite next week.
We can only hope. So she is trying to establish herself as a warrior in her tribe, when everyone else in the tribe basically is trying to tell her, oh, you know, you're only good for, you know, skinning and cooking. You know, I don't know why you're even trying to do this. You're not, you know, this is not your role. And like pretty much everyone in the tribe is being a dick to her outside of her brother. Her brother, I think so he's played by, it looks like Dakota Beavers plays her brother, and I think he does a good job as far as in the beginning parts of the movie where he's like trying to give her a chance, but you can kind of see in his expressions that he doesn't fully believe she can do it. And there's a lot of moments like where he really conveys that without having any dialogue about it, which I think is really good. I think he's another good addition to the cast.
So, full disclaimer, we're just a couple of white dudes sitting here talking like a bunch of white dudes. But from everything I was reading, because I had the movie on one screen and I had the internet, I had Firefox up on my other screen. From everything I was reading, that was pretty much the way, not just the way Europe worked, but that was also the way Native Americans worked as well, each tribe and stuff, especially in the Comanches. The women were cooking and medicine and raising the young, and that was it. That was the only thing you did. And the men were very much the warriors, the hunters, anything like that. And that was it. That was all you did. Like those were set in stone. There was no crossing over. So, yeah. One thing that was really cool. Also, I wanted to put there while I'm still thinking about it. Did you know? I mean, it's not as cool as it could have been, but this is still very cool. Did you know that there is a Comanche language dub of this movie by the cast?
That's awesome. I love that.
It's not other people. It is the cast. Now, people are criticizing the fact that it's a dub, but I'm trying to imagine filming two versions of every scene of the movie or making two movies. It's
not possible.
It's just not feasible. It's just not possible. So they did the next best thing. But yeah.
I absolutely love that. I did not know that. That's a super cool.
That's not available on Hulu because I checked as soon as I read that. But
yeah, that's really awesome that they took the time to have the cast do that. Yeah, and there's a lot of you can tell they did their homework when it comes to how the tribe is presented. I think
they've been pretty much praised by everyone, saying that this is exactly how it was. This is how things looked. This is how the Comanches did things. This is the language they spoke. This is the way they talked. This is the way they did everything. It is pretty much as historically accurate as it can possibly be, except for the extraterrestrial dropping out of the sky, as far as we know.
I don't know, man. Have you ever met M. Night Shyamalan? I'm pretty sure that dude is an extraterrestrial.
No, but I've seen Ancient Aliens, and I'm not so sure that this is fiction.
I've seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Knowledge was the real treasure.
One thing I think this movie does that is like brilliant is I love how the first few times you see the Predator is he is obfuscating something with the like glimmer camouflage. Like it's like the first like several, and they have like it's like a really really cool like camera. Like, do you remember the scene where they first show him like kill the snake?
Yes.
There's a lot because like the camouflage has become like a little bit tropey within this franchise, I think, as far as like how they use it in most entries, and I think this one actually uses it for like to cool effect in a lot of different scenes, like the stuff with the snake where like you see like they'll have something in the background that is like the focus of the shot, like the snake or something like that, and then it gets obfuscated with the Predator cloaking, and just the fact that they don't really show him very much for a very long time, I think really ratchets up like your suspense and like your readiness as a fan. Like, yes, like, you know how you were getting into it, like you really wanted to see the Predator, and I think it really like teases you well as far as like leading up to when they actually start showing him a lot with that fucking bear scene, dude.
With the snake scene, I realized what they were doing, because the first movie also shows you the monster without ever showing you the monster several times. They show you just him cloaked, and you know that something ain't right here,
Yeah.
but you don't know what. And, you know, just like we talk about all the time, the fear of the unknown is more terrifying than anything the movie can show you. Mm-hmm. You don't know what this thing is or what it looks like. You just know there's a fucking ghost walking around this jungle. And the instant I saw the rattlesnake scene, I was like, oh, shit. I haven't seen a Predator movie do this in a long time.
It's so weird. It took them this long and to get to this sequel slash prequel slash reboot, whatever the fuck you want to call Prey. It's almost like every single thing.
It's a soft reboot, I would say. It's a soft reboot.
And like
much in the way Star Trek was. I think it's a soft reboot like that, where the original stuff still exists, but there's also this.
Yeah, agreed. And like they really seem to be paying like proper respect to the concept, because it just became almost
character.
like, it almost became just like it just really like, because you think about how
the Predator became a universal monster, basically.
Yeah, and for them to be able to like, put the lightning back in the bottle for this is really well done, because I didn't think that it could be done with how much he had become a universal monster. Like you said, that's a great kind of comparison to make, as far as
he became a pop culture icon, almost just like the universal monster. Everybody knows the Predator. Everybody knows Dracula. It just became, oh, it's the Predator. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, it's the Predator. They did it. Like you said, that was a good way to say it, Jeff. They put the lightning back in the bottle. The genie is back in the bottle somehow. I don't know how they did that, but this movie is fucking well done.
And I think the most ingenious thing they did with this is by setting it in this time period, giving them unequal footing with the weaponry is a really good way to show just how like we just talked about earlier. In the first Predator movie, you have like, what is it, like 7 like fucking macho 80s action stars with literal miniguns that are mounted to choppers.
Jesse Ventura takes down an entire forest.
Yeah. And in that situation, they're completely out of their element and they're completely fucked.
Yeah.
They have fucking bows and arrows in this. They have, makeshift like dagger weaponry and stuff to use.
We have the Leviathan axe.
That one of my favorite scenes of the movie is like towards the end, when the 3 dudes with muskets fire their one shot at him
and then frantically start reloading.
And then he is unfazed, and they just linger on the look of the dudes after they fired the muskets for about 5 whole seconds, and then as they frantically start reloading, it is so fucking funny and so good. I love it so much. But yeah, like, that is an ingenious and simple way to make him scary again, when you completely remove all, like, when you really uneven the playing field like that. Like, you just think, like, I couldn't fucking take out the Predator if you gave me a goddamn nuclear bomb, and these guys are trying to take him out with bows and arrows, and you're just like, fuck, man.
Usually, the Predator's own nuclear bomb is what takes him out. So,
but man,
I'm going to say something that people are going to find controversial, because everybody hates this movie, and I don't understand why. I actually like the Aliens vs. Predator movies. And I think AVP is the only time, besides Prey, we had a Predator that had a different personality from the first movie.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
I think in Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and The Predator, he's basically all the same Predator. Like, I know he's not the same exact alien, but the personality is exactly the same. He's just as predictable. And he's basically just, Jason Voorhees. And in Alien versus Predator, he acts differently. I don't know. I guess there are female predators. We've seen them in video games and comics and stuff. So so far they've all been he's, I think. That'd be an interesting twist in a sequel.
Yeah. I'd be down for that.
Oh God, Predator has boobs. I'm so confused. But he acts very differently in that movie, and you can tell his thought process is very different. And in Prey, this one is very different in the opposite way. The one in AVP acts very honorably. Remember, like, he considers her equal, and he shares his weaponry with her and stuff to help take down the xenomorphs. Everybody hates that part, and I thought that was so fucking cool because it was something different. And in this movie, he's a fucking cheater. He's got superior technology and he knows it and he fucking uses it like a deer hunter using a rifle against a deer.
Yeah, and he almost like comes across as like vindictive about it.
This predator is never gonna take his armor off and drop his weapons in the water and fight Arnold mano a mano.
Yeah.
This predator is very different from the ones we've seen so far. There's that scene with her and her brother kicking his ass, and then just boom, he just disappears. He just cloaks and takes out the brother because the brother can't see him.
Yeah.
That is something that no other predator we have seen so far would have done.
Yeah, because they're usually all about honor. They're all about the combat. But what's interesting about that too is it works beautifully too as like the parallel to how this is 300 years in the past. The predator is a more primitive predator as well, just like
his
the humans
technology
have more
is a lot
primitive,
more quote unquote primitive as well.
Yeah, in comparison, there's still some fucking bonker shit that you can do, but
yes,
it is primitive compared to especially some of the later predator stuff that you get. But yeah, I think it's an interesting point to like just break it down how like not only are we dealing with more primitive humans from 300 years ago as far as the technology and stuff, but he is a more in a more primitive state, not only with his technology but with his attitude. He's just an asshole.
Yeah,
just and he. Like that scene with like the bear too. It's just like
I love
it's
that
shot.
Scene.
How good is the like the filming in that as far as like just how like he like one thing that Trachtenberg is amazing at, and especially on display back in 10 Cloverfield Lane, but like claustrophobia, like when she's trapped in that beaver dam as like the bear is attacking you like you're just like, no thanks. I'll take the predator.
In my head canon, that's the one that got Leonardo DiCaprio, and he got what was coming.
Leo has been avenged.
It's got fucking scars on its face and shit, so it's got to be the same one, right?
Isn't this? It almost seems too. I think they talk about it a little bit in some of like the articles and stuff, but I forget. Isn't this predator in Prey a bit bigger than he usually is as well? Because this one seems just. I don't know. Obviously, the original one was compared to Arnold, who is fucking massive. But
right,
this feels like this predator in particular is just like a fucking giant. Is that true, or was it just kind of like made to seem that way?
It's hard to tell. I feel like though that the predators we've seen so far, with the exception of the one in The Predator, I don't think any of them were big enough to take on a bear the way this one did.
Yeah, he's like
he lifted it over his head.
He looks like the size of the Hulk, as not like as far as like how like muscular he is, but just like how imposing he can be.
Yeah,
it's insane.
One theory that I've seen is that this predator is further behind in its evolution. It's a lot more brutish. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more. I mean, all the predators are brutal, but especially in the way this one fights and in the way this one kills, it is much more brutal than the other predators that we've seen. And it doesn't seem, it has this amazing technology, but it still relies on a lot of like, the claw on his wrist, and it prefers the face-to-face, quote unquote, because he's cloaked half the time. But it prefers being right up in your face. It throws the wolf around. It throws the people around. It picks up and throws the bear. Like, it can just shoot it and be done. But it really seems to prefer just getting in people's face and just eviscerating them in the most brutal way possible compared to the other predators. The other predators use their plasma cannons a lot.
Yeah.
They're more like a deer hunter sitting up in a deer blind. This one, it's almost like I said, it's a lot more brutish and it's further behind in its evolution. It's not just like necessarily a different type of predator, which it could be. I mean, we know there's multiple types, there's multiple species, but this one just overall seems to be further behind in its evolution than the other ones.
I think something that really accentuates that too is the cinematography, as far as like the color correction on this movie. I think is amazing. It gives it a real look of grittiness that I think has been sorely missing ever since the first movie. Because like the first movie, it actually reminds me of a big issue that you and I had back when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was on our podcast. You remember how everyone is just like perfectly clean?
Oh my God. There's no one sweatier and dirtier than the people in the first 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Exactly. Like that. Like hell, like the first time you see Indiana Jones, he looks like he has been in desperate need of a shower for like 3 days. And it like
everyone's clothes everyone's clothes are like perfectly pressed in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Fucking Marion gets her head caved in by a tree, and she's fine,
and not even bleeding or anything.
She looks like she could film a commercial. It is ridiculous.
That first movie, God's angels are melting people's faces, but Marion doesn't even have a head wound from smashing into a tree.
It is fucking insane, dude.
The only one who should be that clean and that pressed in that movie is Cate Blanchett, because that would be a character thing for her.
Uh-huh.
Everyone else should look just as bad as everyone in the opening scene of Raiders.
Yeah, and it just drove me fucking crazy how that, not only was the costuming bad as far as like everyone appearing like just pristine, but the color correction, the cinematography, like everything looked like glossy and just fake and very artificial. They're
in like Ethiopia and no one is sweating.
Exactly. And in Prey, it reminds me a lot of that, where people just look like they need a fucking shower, and they should.
Dude, I watched the movie and needed a shower.
Exactly, man. And it's just like, I'm so glad. It's just like, it just feels like...
That scene in the bog, I'm not talking Naru. I'm talking Amber Midthunder herself has mud in places that's never coming out. Like, it's just... I was just like, what is happening?
Dude, how disgusting and like well done are the fur traders. Like,
oh man,
these guys look fucking like,
by the way,
nasty.
As far as names go in a movie, the fur traders have some of the best.
Yeah,
you got Big Beard, you got Waxed Mustache.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's so good.
This movie's so fucking good. Man, I'm just scrolling back through some of like the photos of it. How awesome is it that like I think the fur traders are also just like an ingenious aspect of this movie, because you know who the audience will have no qualms being absolutely fucking annihilated by the Predator? Fucking asshole fur traders in the 1700s, because those guys were fucking assholes, man.
See, it's got something for everyone, because the people that prefer the pacing and the way the first movie is put together, you've got the Comanche tribe, and if you want it to be like all the other Predator movies, you have the fur traders.
Slasher movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes like a slasher movie, like a Friday the 13th sequel for about 10 minutes, as he is just fucking eviscerating these guys in the most brutal ways, and it's so awesome. I love it so much.
Can I praise this movie for something weird that's probably a little bit of a weird take?
Go ahead.
Can we talk about how Amber Midthunder being an attractive woman is not like scantily clad, and they're not afraid to get her dirty and just make her grungy? Like, think about like how many movies, like, it's the lady protagonist. She has to be hot and sexy. We have to see cleavage. We can't get her dirty. She's supposed to be hot. Like, they didn't go out, and get someone unattractive. They didn't get someone that was attractive and not dirty them up. They took her and just put her through everything. And her clothing is very accurate, historically, and she's covered, like you fucking would be.
Yeah, like especially the scene when she is like submerged in the mud too.
Oh my god.
That just like nothing triggers my claustrophobia.
I don't mind
a situation like that.
I don't mind getting dirty, but god damn, dude, watching that, I was just like, okay, first off, not the way to go. Combination of quicksand and drowning. And also just thinking about, like I said, the actress herself now has mud in places that is never coming out. Like, there's an episode of Dirty Jobs when Mike Rowe is just like, I've got mud in places a man doesn't necessarily want mud. Like, that was all I could think about watching her sink into the mud.
It just, I can really like put myself.
And it's so excruciatingly slow as she's going down.
I know.
And they do it again with the Predator. It's excruciatingly slow, and I even felt sorry for the fucking Predator. Like,
I can really put myself in the mindset in situations like that where it can really I'm mostly unfazed when it comes to horror movies, but if you show me something like that is just like so real, and you just put yourself in the mindset of you have 20 seconds before you drown and die in one of the worst ways humanly possible, that gets to me. So like when she is just like. And Amber Midthunder is amazing as far as like conveying she's terrified and she's doing everything she possibly can to remain as level-headed as possible, you know?
Yeah.
It's really good. And how they have some badass fights and like action set pieces with her like fucking flail thing too. Like that was a cool addition for this. What is it? What is she? Does she attach like the little like dagger thing to the rope? Is that what she does?
Her tomahawk.
What she does. Tomahawk. That's what it is.
That's her tomahawk. That's why I called it the Leviathan axe earlier from God of War.
It's fucking badass, dude. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Everything about this, about the way this movie is done, and like, goddamn, she's such a good actress, and she had to be because it's basically a one-woman show for half the movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
So she didn't have a choice. She had to be good at her job. I want to send you something in the Discord here. I want you to look at this picture of the Predator that's on IMDb. Like,
yes,
look at this is what I am talking about. Look at his level of technology. While it's far superior to what we even have now, it's not clean. It's not shiny. It's not sleek.
Yeah. It's very raw. It's very like unfinished.
It reminds me of like ancient Greece, the shield.
And that's an important distinction too, in the fact that he basically has like a makeshift like skull as his helmet instead of a proper Predator helmet, right? Because it's typically more of like a technological like mask almost instead of just like the skull head, right?
It is. Am I misremembering? Yes. And from what I have read, the skull is a reference to predators. There's a creature or something in Predators that the Predator kills. That is what that is supposed to be. This movie has oh dude, I'm sending you this poster. This is so cool. We'll talk about this too when we get there. But I want to send you this poster. But this movie has stuff throughout all of it. They make a point of showing you the cigar. It's thought that is supposed to be a reference to Arnold. The skull.
Love that poster.
Right. The skull is from Predators. The fur trader that speaks French and Comanche is from the comics, and the flintlock.
Oh no shit! I didn't know that. That's really cool.
The flintlock pistol that he gives her is the exact same one from Predator 2.
Wow. See, I love the Predator movies, but I think the only one I've actually seen more than once is the original one. So like a lot of these references is kind of like outside of the ones that are, glaringly obvious references to the original movie, they kind of went over my head because I am a fan, but I'm not like a super fan where I can remember every single callback.
Apparently, real life prop wise, it's not the same musket, but canonically in the movie, if you look at Predator 2, the musket at the end, and you look at the flintlock musket in this one, it's pretty much exactly the same. It's got the same markings, and it has the dude's name on it. And
nice.
That dude is from a really famous comic, like Predator 1718 or something. He was a pirate. And in this, he's like past his pirate days, or it's before his pirate days or something. And he's at is in the fur trade. Either that or he's just a reference. People aren't sure. But people are almost wondering if this is going to time hop, if we're not going to get that comic and that character as a pirate against, which I would fucking love to see any pirate against the Predator.
Man,
but
I'm so excited for what they can do with this. There's so many cool fucking like periods they could set it in. Like one thing I saw was like, what if you did like feudal Japan and it was like a samurai versus a predator? It's just like, yeah, I'd fucking watch that.
That would be so cool. Yeah, the only thing that I'm thinking about now, though, knowing that that's supposed to be the same flintlock pistol, the Predators had that.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So things don't end well for this character later in life, is my guess. You know, just because she has it at the end of the movie, and at the end of Predator 2, they have it.
Yeah.
But should we talk about the Predator himself?
Yeah, of course.
This movie simultaneously made me want so bad not only a God of War movie based on the PS4 game, but a fucking Horizon Zero Dawn movie, because that's all I could think about is those two properties throughout this whole movie. Both in her fighting the Predator and just the Predator himself, because he's got the goddamn Kratos shield. She has the Leviathan axe.
Yep.
But just the way he uses his shield like fucking Captain America, like he punches with it. And do you remember that part when he takes off the dude's head by opening the shield?
Oh, it's so good.
Like,
That dude,
even cuts down the tree behind him when he does it.
That scene when he is trying to kill her with it towards the end, and he is like slicing deeper and deeper into these like adjacent rocks that are the only thing keeping her alive. And every time he like thrusts it forward, it's like slicing deeper and deeper into the rocks. It's so good.
It's so terrifying.
It's so good. And again, dude, like those camera angles, like when they have in extreme close-ups of bits of the action or like character reactions, like they show a lot of her reactions to being in that situation. It's incredibly claustrophobic. It's like all those like little details like that, like really ramp up like the tension of it. Because that's another thing too, is I think a lot of the brutality of the Predator kind of became like too slashery. Like one of the problems I have, I don't hate the Alien versus Predator movies as much as a lot of people do, but like my main thing that makes me like not like crazy about them is how terrifying the Predator can be and how terrifying the Xenomorphs can be and how not scary they are in those movies. And it's just mostly like they go way towards the like slasher like fun spectrum of it, which I enjoy. But if you give me the option of do I want full blown slashery Predator and Xenomorphs, or do I want like Alien or like the original movie or this, I much prefer like the tense and like brutal versions of them and like the ones that are actually scary. Maybe that's just me as like a horror guy. I much prefer these characters, like these concepts when they're scary instead of when it's just a movie that's meant to be fun and you kind of like turn your brain off and you can enjoy it, but it is not. They're not presented in that same like scary way. That's my like biggest issue with it.
And while I get that, my argument for like the Aliens versus Predator movies has always been that's not the goal of the movie. Like.
It's not.
The point
it's
of
not.
Alien versus Predator comics and video games and everything is what if they fucking fought each other? You know, like
it's yeah. I totally get that. It's not the point, but when the potential of the character is prey,
right.
I would take this every single day over Aliens versus Predator.
Right.
That's every like. Would I rather watch AV? Yeah.
Individually, this is what these movies should be.
Yeah.
But that's why I love the idea of AVP at the same time so much is I get a taste of both. I get the peanut butter and the chocolate, Jeff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's also just like me.
Yeah.
I'm a horror guy. I like them when they are scary. And like I think you maximize their potential as concepts when they're presented like prey instead of like that.
Meanwhile, I read the crossover comic where it was Predator versus Judge Dredd. So, you know, to each his own.
Is that Carl Urban as Judge Dredd? Then I'm in.
Dude.
That's the next Prey movie. Dude, imagine the next Prey movie. It's just him versus Carl Urban Judge.
They just start slotting him into other things.
Fuck yeah, dude.
They just start taking the Cloverfield approach and just start tying everything into Predator.
That's what happened to Jar Jar Binks. He's just slotted into the prequels, and it's just the Predator versus Jar Jar.
So
I would watch that.
The other thing I wanted to point out about the Predator too, when I was talking about like how he's a fucking cheat, is think about pretty much every Predator movie made. It doesn't matter how many guys there are. Guys start disappearing one at a time throughout the whole movie. He's fucking leaping from tree to tree, carpet bombing them, like just killing as many as he can. And it's just like, God damn, this Predator is so different from all the other Predators. Like, I cannot get over how different they made this guy. And I don't know if that is just this one's individual personality, or he's from a different tribe.
Like, maybe like, yeah, it was like a different culture where they were just like, this brutal.
Is the parallel supposed to be we have different Native American tribes, we have different Predator tribes? Like, because there's such a parallel between the main character, and the Predator. You could almost extrapolate that out.
There's also just a parallel to like the way they present like the Predators, like Predators from 300 years ago, and compare them to, just like the way people were 300 years ago. And just like that lack of like consciousness, that just how every man for himself, that type of mentality, how it's like he's very uncivilized, which is funny to say about a Predator, but he is in just how much of a
brute.
Absolute brute he is. Yeah.
And to your point, the movie backs up your point for you. When the trappers get her and her brother, they fucking stuff them in a cage like an animal.
Yeah. Have you watched? Oh God, what is the?
Oh no.
Frontier. Have you watched Frontier? That is the Jason. It's the Jason Momoa show.
My parents have told me it's very good.
It's a very, very good show. It's actually from this same time period in the same region, because it's about the fur trade from back then. And holy shit, dude, they go into detail on just like how fucking barbaric they could be back then.
Oh, I know what I want. I want Predator versus Jason Momoa.
Fuck yes.
That's what I want.
That would be amazing.
Oh yes, my please. God. Make it happen, Trachtenberg. Trachtenberg.
Thought experiment. You can pick any time period for the next Prey. Anytime. What would be your, like, this is the direction I would take it? Would it be the pirate stuff? Would you want to see like the pirate stuff? Because I know you talked about it. I was just curious, like, if you could pick anything.
It's a real hard decision for me between pirate stuff. This sounds like it's getting weird. This sounds like it's like we're talking sex stuff now. It's like it's either the pirate stuff or cowboys. Which one
extra for the pirate stuff?
Yeah. I don't know. It could be Wild West for me, or it could be pirate stuff. Cool. They're similar but different,
Yeah. Man, like they can put the Predator in every time period. And if it's these guys and like Trachtenberg and these people that like really respect and understand like the potential for like how fucking awesome the Predator can be, like this is, yes.
So, you and I talk about certain properties all the time. Unlike Alien, Predator falls into the same category to me as like Doctor Who, where the potential is limitless, really, with it, depending on how you do it.
Just your imagination and how much you understand, like
the character and the motivation.
How to keep like the essence of everything.
Yeah, the atmosphere and stuff. Yeah, because you could literally drop him in to any time period, like you said, to any culture.
I think it'd be interesting if you had like a feudal Japan type setting, but instead of like a samurai, it was about him fighting ninjas, where it was like the
drunken master.
Like,
are we bringing back Jackie Chan?
If only. But like, in all seriousness, like I think if you could have like some action sequences where like the point was them camouflaging themselves, like being like that kind of Batman shit, like where you become like invisible, where that's like the element is like them almost trying to like fucking out ninja each other. Sounds like really interesting, and like you can kind of like do some different stuff instead of just him fucking like just barbarian mode, fucking destroying every fur trader in a 5-mile radius. As glorious as that is, I fucking love it. I would like to see them do some like different types of situations for the fight scenes, as far as like where you can like you said, like the pirate stuff could be interesting. I think the Wild West stuff could also be interesting. But man, this has me so excited. Like so it sounds like we're kind of more on board with the sequel idea of you just kind of make it like an anthology where Prey is just a predator in a different like point in time against a different type of protagonist. So is that how you would take it? You would not break, because let's get into the end of it. So if people didn't watch all the way to the end credits after she has vanquished the predator, so they have the beginning of the credits with these kind of like Native American murals, whereas it's like this very, very traditional art form of theirs, and they recap the movie. But if you watch every single one, they actually go beyond what you see at the ending of the actual film itself.
Hide paintings. They're called hide paintings.
Hide paint. Yes, thank you. So they show like one final one that takes. It's almost like an epilogue in the hide painting, where right after she has brought back the head of the predator to basically show like she's vanquished it, she's the new chief, she's the new badass, she's beaten the goddamn predator. You see more ships come in.
A lot more ships.
Yeah. So like the idea is the sequel basically more predators coming back and we're continuing this protagonist in the same time period? Is that just showing more predators are coming back now that they've lost one? And they're going to have different predators in different time settings, in different locations against different types of protagonists. I think
was it literal or was it metaphorical?
Exactly. Yes. I hope they go the route of it's like an anthology. And like, how cool is it that like the name of the Predator anthology is Prey? I think that's so perfect. Like everything about this is so fucking good, and it just makes me so excited because as much as I liked was it The Predator? Was it the Shane Black one from a few years ago?
Yes, The Predator.
As much as like and you and I, like, it's almost like the meme of this podcast, but you and I liked it more than the kind of consensus was for that movie. This blows that out of the water.
It's not my favorite, but I liked it. I enjoyed watching it.
I liked it too, and it got some of like what I like about this character, but like for Prey to be able to make him scary again, to put the lightning back in the bottle like we talked about. I didn't think you could do it, and the fact that they did it fucking excites me so much, because like we're potentially in for so much cool shit, and I'm so happy this was like a massive hit for Hulu, because we'll get more good shit. It sounds like Trachtenberg is back for it because he's invested in this property, and fuck yes, dude.
Did you see that he's been developing this idea since 2016?
I believe it. If you watch or if you scroll through his IMDb,
so detailed. This movie is so detailed.
He is very, very selective about what he does. He, like we talked about, he only has 2 directorial credits. He works in TV, but not very often. Like he really seems to do like what you're talking about, how like once he sets his eyes on a project, like he is all in, and it shows, because when your 2 movies are 10 Cloverfield Lane and Prey, I will watch whatever the fuck you do, and I cannot wait to see more of this, man.
Can I read something to you I just found on Wikipedia?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on.
Have a good night, everybody.
Ba-dum-bum. So you and I feel like often forget to talk about the music.
Oh yeah,
dude. I just saw this on Wikipedia. It's the first 2 sentences of the music category. I'm going to fuck this up, I already know. Sarah Schachner composed the musical score. Trachtenberg hired her after playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla during pre-production and was impressed with her score for the game.
Huh, that's cool.
He played a video game and was like, huh, I like this. Give me more.
This is good.
You know what this would really go with? Well, The Predator.
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
that's the same thing, right?
That's really cool, but at the same time, just like, What?
Did you imagine like her getting that call?
That phone call?
Yeah, so this is so I'm making a Predator movie. Like this is a prank, right?
Yeah.
Shit. But yeah, I think the score is very good. It's also it's intense, but it's not overdone. And
Yes.
when the movie like really hammers home those moments of silence, I think it does it very well. You don't want like you want it to be there, and you want it to like accentuate the Predator, especially in moments where they're trying to make it more intense and really like drum up the tension. But I think it's good to like have your moments of silence, especially like just with the way he camouflages. Also, really cool. There are a few scenes that I forgot to talk about that I really liked in the first half of the movie that I think is genius, and it's moments where they will have the camera linger on nothing.
Yes.
There is no Predator there. There is no glimmers of camouflage.
I was pausing shit like, what did I miss? Because I'm not used to a movie doing this to me. And
it's so effective because every time that moment happens where nothing is on the screen and your fucking paranoia kicks in as the viewer. Yes. And you are scanning every bit of the fucking television screen looking for that glimmer, and when you don't see it, it just makes it even worse, and it's so fucking good.
Like, what about the one in the tree? Where there's all the blood in the tree, the snake's spine is in the tree, but the Predator's not there. But you can't help feeling like you're looking at his feet or something cloaked.
God, I love it so much. It's such a good idea.
Such a good mind fuck.
Oh man, I love it so much. It's just like, Trachtenberg, you fucking get me, bro. Thank you. Because I haven't seen that very often either. Like, that is a horror movie.
Yes.
Like, filming, like, everything about it.
It's an underutilized horror movie filming technique.
Yeah.
And we saw it in a fucking Predator movie that went direct to streaming. I mean, I'm not saying that to, like, that's a dishonorable thing to go direct to streaming. It's not like direct home video used to be or anything. But the fact that, original Netflix movies, original Hulu movies of all things are not known for this level of creativity.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be like a whole new breed of original Hulu movies, because now that they're owned by Disney, and with Disney Plus, you see how much Disney specifically believes in streaming services, because like just the amount of shit that is exclusive to Disney Plus is insane.
Yes,
your fucking Star Wars show. You have several Marvel properties, like all that shit being exclusive to the streaming service is insane, and I'm really glad that you could get potentially more movies like this, because this is like a big budget movie, but it's also not we're not talking like Avengers level, like and when you have them like properly budgeted like this, where the special like they don't Cameron it, like where like the spectacle
James
overshadows.
Cameron.
Like where I challenge anyone to find an episode of this show where we didn't reference James Cameron and that fucking song.
Can you hear the song? Is the song coming through up there?
Oh God! But I think it really leads to just like really really good fucking movies when you have to make like every cent matter, and you have to like just really fucking get like nitty and gritty about. Like it's the exact opposite of like the Star Wars prequels. We're like, we have all the money in the world. Everything is fucking spectacle, Sunday, and everything becomes shit.
Skywalker saga too.
Everything becomes Avatar.
Like
it's all about the fucking spectacle of it.
Here's the thing: the two things that annoy me about the state of Hollywood overall is, everything has to have an Avengers level budget, which is not true. In fact, the most creative projects often, like you said, they're squeezing every penny and they have to get creative with what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's like every movie feels like they have to one-up themselves. Like, The Predator is a perfect example. We didn't need a fucking super predator stalking the predator who's stalking the characters.
And then ended on like
the predator is scary. Yeah, and the predator is scary enough, right? Like you don't need to keep one upping it. The trio in Predators, that gets called out, but that's a common thing in the comics, I believe. The trio, of predators, which is very much what the next Prey could be with all the ships coming in. But I don't know, it just feels like we always have to try to one-up everything, not just in Predator, but in sequels and stuff in general, when that's not true. You know, like, we often talking about how the first thing that springs to mind, I know you don't believe this as strongly as I do, but you still believe it, is The Mummy and The Mummy Returns is a perfect example of trying to recapture what the first movie feels like. And you don't need to drastically one-up everything. I mean, that movie hits the ground running because it's assuming you saw the first movie. We don't have to redo the entire first movie in the first half. You know? It's just, it irks me so much when I see a franchise or a sequel that has potential and they fucking ruin it by... the Pirates of the Caribbean is the perfect example.
Oh, dude. Pirates of the Caribbean makes me sad.
It makes me so sad because that first movie is amazing. Good.
That first movie is... It already has, like, that problem you're talking about already in the second one.
Yes.
You know, not even counting, like, you know, like, several sequels later.
They gotta be bigger. It's gotta be better.
Yeah. And they fucking... Like, I think that's the perfect example for what you're talking about, because, like, they really... It becomes like the fucking Ouroboros. You know, you're just like, you know, like the snake eating its own tail.
Yes.
It's like we're just like really overstepping for no reason, because like this movie is like just constantly portraying like subtle confidence. This movie like has a great concept, has great people behind it, has great actors, and they just fucking get it. They know exactly what they want to do, and they fucking execute it. And it's just fucking I think this is probably like... I think you can argue maybe the first Star Trek movie from J.J. Abrams, because I do really like the movie. I think this might be the best reboot I've ever seen, and it's very rare that you have a reboot at all that can excite you to that extent. Because usually it's just an excuse for them to be able to make money off the fucking franchise again. Like, usually it's not an artistic direction that's kind of spearheading it. It's just the search for more money.
Right. I tend to roll my eyes a lot less at a soft reboot because, like you said, a full-on reboot, especially, you know, how many Batman reboots and Spider-Man reboots and just everything. It's like, oh my God, guys, how much of my money are you going to take? There's other things too, you know? There's other movies I want to see. So,
or the ones that just completely like seem to like... I never watched it. I forget if you did or not, but like the Total Recall reboot that looked nothing like Total Recall. Like, what the fuck are y'all?
Bad.
What are y'all even doing?
You know me. I can at least enjoy the stupidness of a movie. That movie is so bad. I saw it in theaters and I regret it.
Yikes!
It was so bad. I mean, I don't regret the Kate Beckinsale parts, but the rest of it, fuck.
The cast was good.
The cast was phenomenal.
Yeah, the cast was good. That's the thing too. They fucking like they hook, line, and sinker. Like the RoboCop reboot. You looked at the cast of that thing. The cast of that movie is fucking amazing,
and it's boring.
But it's just fucking boring. Like
it falls in that category that you've talked about in this podcast where it's not good, it's not bad, and that's kind of the worst place it can be because I don't even care enough to be mad at it. You know, like
the greatest sin of any property is to be boring.
Yeah,
and and you want to talk about like, it's so funny too. It's like because like Total Recall made me think of it. Like Total Recall and RoboCop have like a very specific tone to them. And it's like you're trying to like reboot them, but you're completely missing the point that it was soulless. That tone.
The soul is lost.
It was that very, very specific and very weird tone that made them what they were.
Yes.
And you're just like taking, and it's like the whole like, you know, like the sum of its parts type of thing. You just don't really understand. Like Prey fucking nails it. Like Prey gets everything that I've wanted out of this franchise for years and have not been getting, and this fucking excites the shit out of me. But yeah, I think I've kind of like covered everything. Was there any other like actual specific scenes in the film that you wanted to touch on before we kind of sign off?
Oh my God, there's so much. There's so much.
Once the shit hits the fan for the last 30 minutes or so of this movie, it's fucking amazing.
I could do an entire second podcast on this movie, dude.
dude,
the way it plays with your expectations, like when she gets covered in the mud, you just know she's going to discover he can't see her, and then it immediately cuts to her washing the mud off. Like,
yeah, it's good. It's
things,
good stuff.
A flower that you fucking forgot about is how she fights him because it lowers her body temperature.
That was really cool too.
Yeah, like it's just, I did not roll my eyes when they kept quoting the first movie. If it bleeds, we can kill it, and things like that.
Because it earned it.
It earned it.
It fucking earned it. It wasn't the fucking Star Wars prequels. Yeah, hey, that line you liked. Here it is. You're welcome.
Like hello there became a line for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard another podcaster say when what was it? What movie was it DC came out with that was I don't remember if it was Shazam. I don't remember what it was. But their take was, you have not earned this movie. They're like, Marvel earned Guardians of the Galaxy. They earned the right to put a talking raccoon into their franchise. Like, you did not earn this. This movie earned the right to rip off anything it wants from the other movies because they did it so well.
Yeah, this movie's fucking amazing.
And it played with your expectations in every way, like you said, with the lingering on scenes. There's a scene, it's not even lingering. The dude, it's when they're hunting the mountain lion. The camera is on the dude, the background is blurred, and then it refocuses to the background for no reason. He's blurry in the foreground, and they focus on the background, and that's the shot as he's setting up to go for the mountain lion. There's nothing there.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing, dude.
It's not even a lingering shot. Shit is actually happening in the scene, and they're focusing on the background instead of what he's doing for literally no reason. It's so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of attention to detail when it comes to... So this is what a movie would typically present this scene or, like, these characteristics of, like, part of, like, the environment that makes, like, they unmovify it, they take the, like, Hollywood out of it, and what you, like, are left with, it may, like... really lends itself to just how like fucking raw this movie feels, like it feels just fucking brutal and intense, and like what they really unglamorize it to like in so many different ways that just just like, man, chef's kiss.
It doesn't cross a line either. It's not. I have a hard time calling it gory, even though there's a lot of gore in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's brutal, but it's not a fucking slasher movie. It's not gratuitous.
It's not gratuitous.
It's the scene. It does what it needs to make its point. It doesn't. It knows where the line is, and it straddles it. And it's like
establishing.
There.
It's like establishing stakes instead of like shock value for like characters and stuff. It's just fucking like masterful, man.
It's got highs and lows. It lets you unclench. It lets you get your breath before it ramps back up too. It doesn't just keep you clenched the entire movie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's it's a brilliant movie.
Like, yeah, like,
I don't know that I've ever said that in the entire time we've done this podcast. It is a brilliant movie.
It's like, this is one of my favorite movies the past couple of years. Like, this is something, and then this is also one that I think will kind of like enter, like for instance, earlier I was talking about how I've rewatched the first Predator movie multiple times, and I don't think I've ever rewatched another one. Maybe I think I've seen AVP like once or twice. I think I've seen AVP twice.
Did you ever see AVP R out of curiosity?
I did, yeah.
You sound so disappointed. You sound like a disappointed father.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't remember.
I love that movie so much more than AVP, and I love AVP.
I don't remember it very much because they're not for me. Like, they're not really what I like about, like, when I think about Predator. I think about this. When I think about I'm about to say Necromorphs, a different franchise. When I think about Xenomorphs, I think of Alien, and I that's like what I think of.
Right.
And like I said, they fall into that. Like I was talking about, with like Skyscraper. There's like Prey. And then there is the movie you can throw on Sunday afternoon with a 6-pack with your dad and have a good time. That's that. And that's perfectly fine. That is exactly what it is. It's just when it comes to these franchises that I love very, very much, it's not what I'm looking for. And I get like
it's Tremors and Tremors 2 is what you're saying. Because Tremors was kind of like, oh shit, that's so cool. The Tremors 2, it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah,
but funny.
Yeah. And it's perfectly fine if that's like you need to have a conversation with Soapy. Soapy fucking loves the AVP movies.
Really?
So you guys, yeah.
There's another
like
human being out there that loves this movie.
Oh
my god.
One. Yeah.
I married the wrong person. My life is a lie.
My life is a lie. But man, yeah, this movie is fucking awesome, and I cannot wait to watch it again. And I don't think I finished my point because I got off topic like 12 different times. But this will enter the rotation. This is something I will rewatch like every couple of years. Just like, you know what, I feel like a goddamn good Predator movie. I'll fucking wombo combo the original movie and then this. That's a fucking great goddamn double feature. Ron, what is going to be our next movie? Because this was my selection. What is your pick next up for us?
Well, I've got some good news for you, sir. my next pick is going to be the first Predator film.
Hell yes.
So there's your double feature.
Now I have an excuse to rewatch this instantly.
I'm pretty sure, from what I can tell, all of it is on Hulu.
Once this, yeah, it was really funny. Once this movie fucking hit big, if you pull up Hulu, it was just like Predator, Sunday. It's everywhere on the home screen.
Amazon is becoming all Lord of the Rings all the time soon.
Yeah.
I think Hulu's going to be all Predator all the time.
You remember that one movie we made that was good? Here it is again.
It's going to be a bad sign if Trachtenberg does not do a follow-up, I think we'll know what we're in for if he is not at the helm. I
believe now it could obviously enter development hell, which would be a surprise to me because if
we get the news that he's leaving, we know the studio got involved.
Yeah, Disney/Fox ? I don't really know who is in charge of their decision making anymore and how much like autonomy Fox retained in that buyout. But from everything I've read, Trachtenberg loves this property, loves everything about it, and is back for more. For everything I've seen, it's just a matter of, and it also sounded like while we don't know where they're going, they know and they're already working on it. So it could be here sooner.
It's a Predator MCU.
it could be here sooner than we think, and I cannot wait. So I'm really glad that you're picking this. I think we've accidentally had like a couple of franchise coverage, even though it became like because remember you were gonna have alternating episodes in between the Tremors movies, and we were just like, fuck it, we'll run it back to back. Now we're running Prey and Predator, so it'd be pretty fun. We've like accidentally had franchise summer, even though it wasn't intentionally scheduled that way. So yeah, I'm fucking stoked. I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch them back to back.
Hell yes.
I feel like I have to.
I feel like I need to hop into one of those ET quarantine suits and just hop over there, and then we just have like a double feature of Predator and Prey.
And I expect it to have an Alien and Aliens feel to it, because this movie leans so hard into the horror aspect. And while the first movie does as well, it's also like an 80s action movie at the same time. So if you're setting up your double feature, you're watching your Prey and your Predator. Which one are you watching first? Are you watching? I think I still go with the original first, just because I do too.
Just because my brain will always default to like which one chronologically
the MCU
came out.
Timeline playlist. I hate it hard.
I hate that shit. Like, y'all realize they retrofit the movie to work around your brain having knowledge of the previous movies that have released, right? Like they do that. You know that, right? They rewrote The Hobbit to incorporate Lord of the Rings.
We have a friend that saw The Hobbit first and insisted on it because it's a prequel. He shouldn't have to watch Lord of the Rings first. And we were both like, no, what are you doing?
It makes me want to punch a wall. It's so
unlike you, I like the Hobbit movies. I don't like them at the same level I do Lord of the Rings. but I do like them. And even I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing
terrible.
this?
It's an absolutely terrible idea. You don't even get like you don't even get the jokes.
Yeah.
One of the only good scenes out of the third movie was Legolas running out of arrows. You have no context for that if you fucking watch it. God damn it. I'm getting mad about it. We had this conversation with Phil 10 years ago. Why is this still making me angry? We gotta get out of here, bro. We gotta go. If you want to follow this more, you can always check us out on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. If you ever have any prompts or questions you'd like Ron and I to discuss, usually we have like a Q&A section, but we spend a lot of time talking about basically like like previously on Screenplay Rewind. Like we had a whole fucking preamble of a different podcast before we got to talk about Prey.
I want the Dragon Ball Z / Dragon Ball Super narrator to bring us into every episode.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Last time on Screenplay Rewind, and I want that Dragon Ball Super music in the background and everything.
Fuck yes. Yeah. Love it. Oh god. Ratings and reviews on whatever platform you found us on. Us always appreciate it. We really, really appreciate it. Helps us grow. Word of mouth also helps us. If you have any friends that would like mediocre podcasts about awesome movies like Prey, boy, do we have mediocre podcast for you. Yeah, I think
this
that's
podcast is one ugly motherfucker.
Have a good night.